Arkham Asylum isn't just a prison for Batman's rogues gallery, it's a crucible for his mind. We're about to explore how the very walls designed to contain madness ultimately chipped away at the Dark Knight's sanity, shaping him in ways you've never considered. Forget the Batsuit and the gadgets, Batman's true battles aren't fought in the streets of Gotham, but within the decaying corridors of Arkham Asylum and inside his own head. This isn't just a story about a hero, it's a chilling descent into how the horrors of Arkham twisted Bruce Wayne's psyche, leaving him forever scarred by the darkness he fights. We all have our demons, but for Batman, his were literally locked up in Arkham Asylum. Have you ever wondered what it truly costs to stare into the abyss day after day? We're diving deep into the psychological toll Arkham takes on the Cape Crusader, revealing how its twisted inhabitants and oppressive atmosphere didn't just contain villains, but profoundly reshape the man behind the mask. The inescapable labyrinth, the imposing gates and suffocating corridors, how Arkham's very architecture begins to chip away at Batman. Starting off, Batman's just driving Joker to Arkham Asylum, probably after one of the many times he's caught him since he escaped. Once he's beat him from trying another one of his schemes, just returning him back to the asylum. But once he gets into the asylum, it all changes, because not only did Joker end up taking over the asylum, however, now he's stuck within this asylum that's full of evil psychopaths and twisted villains that are being let loose, making the reality of the asylum a place ran by the lunatics, just free within the asylum. He was mainly stuck being within the asylum. And when you're stuck in a building like this, full of all these psycho villains, it takes a toll on him. It forces you to get used to it and see it as the norm, because it's so common and you're so surrounded by it. If he was more free and happened to be taking villains out like usual in Gotham City, he wouldn't be in a place where he's isolated with the craziness and evil. All him being stuck mainly in the asylum did was chip away slowly at his mental health, because the asylum's physical walls and presence created the mental walls in his head, making him feel trapped within the new reality containing so many strange and vile villains. Sensory overload, the constant screams, the clanging cells, the smell of decay, designed to disorientate and overwhelm even the most stoic mind. Batman might be usually seen as someone who can hold himself together pretty well and be very calm and logical, but even the most capable of minds and intelligent people can still be affected by the overload of a hell-like reality with chaos erupting everywhere. A reflection of his own demons, how the asylum's oppressive atmosphere mirrors Batman's internal struggles with control and chaos. Batman likes to have everything under control. He doesn't want the villains loose. It's very important to him for all the villains to be put away, for it to be known that they can't be let loose, creating any chaos or trouble. He is Gotham's protector, and the reason these villains are locked up is because they're danger and a threat to his city. Knowing they've all been let loose and have the power over him can drive even the toughest minds to insanity. Also, even having his biggest fears used against him, like his parents' death, or if he was to become unrecognizable and to turn into a crazy villain who couldn't protect Gotham. It makes perfect sense this being shown as a reality to him would haunt him and get to him. Joker's taunts, the Clown Prince's philosophical debates, and psychological games push Batman to his breaking point. Joker wants Batman to lose it. This is all a game to him. He finds it fun and enjoys it. It's his goal to break Batman. He wants Batman to reach the point where he becomes exactly what he fears. Someone mentally broken, out of control, who has no control over themselves, left in a state where he can no longer be the hero. Joker sets up so many things, like taking over the asylum and letting all the villains loose. which is only gonna help build Batman towards his breaking point, because it's giving more problems and chaos for Batman to have to deal with. Joker does this on purpose, or how he's now using Titan, giving Batman an even harder time, making him take on criminals who both outmatch him in strength and size by so much now. Joker's tried to set everything up in a way where even someone as aware as Batman of what Joker's trying to do can't solve the mess that Joker's created. And of course, there's the way Joker interacts with Batman, at times acting silly or saying jokes, even saying he's outsmarted Batman by pulling another scheme and creating another scene Batman probably wasn't expecting to have to deal with. Joker acting relentless, like he'll never give up, or doesn't even want to at all because of how much fun he's having putting Batman through this, which is unlike many other villains because it would get to them, but Joker's always continuing. He gets satisfaction from it, even if it would drive him crazy, because he's already insane. Scarecrow's fears, confronting his deepest anxieties in a place where fear is weaponized and amplified. Scarecrow used fear to his advantage, which of course his character is used to. I already mentioned how he used Batman's fears against him, and of course his fear toxin in a place like this, or the asylum, just makes the situation even worse for Batman, because now even the fear gas was taking control of him. Scarecrow was the best villain to use, on top of the fact that he was stuck within the asylum with everything being normalized to him, because it would lead to him getting even more lost. Riddler's intellect, the battle of wits within Arkham's confines, forcing Batman to outsmart the asylum's own twisted logic. Riddler still had all his Riddler trophies scattered all over the island and inside the asylum. Riddler set things up in a way where now Batman's gonna have to think deep and try to figure out these puzzles and the trap he's stuck within, creating even more of a mental challenge for him and making an intellectual game present. The Arkham sickness, exploring the theory that prolonged exposure to Arkham's madness subtly infects Batman. With all of this going on, and for the amount of time he was stuck only within this reality, he was slowly turning into one of the psychopaths. And you have to remember, what you're surrounded by is what you become like. And the only thing Batman had around him was all this insanity and chaos. Blurred lines, how guarding the insane blurs the line between order and chaos, hero and vigilante. When you're stuck within all this insanity, things are slowly gonna be confused. As we see, order, for example, was still an element being used by the villains, like Joker or Scarecrow trying to control Batman in certain ways by getting to him, while also using chaos to their advantage, or hero and vigilante. These differences just no longer making sense. The moral difference between a hero and a vigilante. The fact that these elements were still being used in ways within the asylum, but mixed in with all the insanity and the evil ways they were trying to use all of it against Batman, since he's becoming crazy and chaos being so prominent. It's all becoming one. The unseen scars, the quiet toll of constantly being surrounded by extreme mental illness impacting his perception of Gotham. What you're surrounded by really shapes you, will impact you. What he thinks of Gotham changes, from seeing it as just the city he must protect, now as a city full of nutcases, continuously trying to be free, to drive the city into chaos. A cycle that keeps repeating, that he has to keep dealing with. Villains that will never give up, who will go as far as dragging him into the chaos. The scars of what he's had to deal with, the pressure and discomfort, heightened paranoia, how Arkham's experiences make Batman more wary, less trusting, and increasingly isolated. He's gonna be much more suspicious of everything villains are doing, or just anyone in general, because of what's been normalized to him, what he's constantly having to deal with. He's gonna feel like he can't trust the villains as much. He's seen what they're capable of doing and what they're willing to do time and time again, how unpredictable they are. He's gonna become much more isolated, as he's gonna find it the best way to feel the safest, not needing to worry about others getting in the way or creating problems, or even putting themselves in danger, maybe even just tricking him. When you're alone, you don't have to deal with these problems from others. So it makes sense why we see later with Tim Drake, he never wants Tim to be involved. It's because he wants to go at it alone, due to the fear of others somehow creating a problem that's unnecessary. Shifting tactics, the subtle changes in his crime-fighting approach, influenced by the psychological warfare he faced within the asylum, due to the constant madness he had to deal with in the asylum. He's gonna always make sure to be more cautious when taking on threats and enemies, due to the fact that he knows how bad it can get and how far some criminals are willing to go. A much more demanding approach to possibly keep more order, a greater empathy or lack thereof. How seeing the depths of human depravity in Arkham shapes his understanding of his adversities and his own mission. Things might not always be the nicest or be presented in a kind way at all. Seeing how unhinged villains and places can be at times makes him realize, to reach his goal, complete his mission, he realizes situations can't always be set up in a certain way or be projected in a certain way for him to be able to get it done. No matter the presentation, he must. He very much is his own opponent, due to the fact his perception of things and how things should be can make it harder for him. Realizing things don't have to be a certain way, also shouldn't expect them to be a certain way. It being that way is normalized within his mind, doesn't mean it has to be that way for him to finish the mission. The perpetual threat, the knowledge that Arkham's horrors are always a risk, perpetually looming over Gotham and his own sanity. The asylum's deranged ways could still return, once again, possibly taking over Gotham or interfering within his own sanity, making him fall back into proceeding towards the disturbing danger of insanity. His own asylum, how Batman's commitment to Gotham sometimes feels like a self-imposed prison mirroring Arkham's confines. He forces himself to always continue the cycle of having to protect Gotham. He knows what it would lead most people towards, but he puts this challenge on himself as if he was a prisoner who couldn't escape their fate, but he chooses it for himself. But it's still just like the asylum, due to the fact that he's stuck. The unending battle, the internal struggle to maintain his sanity and purpose, a direct consequence of his countless visits to the abyss of Arkham, as he continues to drag himself through the derangement. He's always going to be nearing going insane and fading purpose, which of course is going to be caused when you're exposed to the demented ways of the asylum, as it would slowly influence anyone. But he pushes to keep who he is, to not fall into the trap, and still keep in mind his purpose. Him still doing this and choosing to is what makes him Batman, as he's the only one who can and will. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Has the asylum had a major psychological impact on Batman? Has it affected him in so many ways? How do you think it affected him the most? Guys, remember to subscribe and to turn on notifications. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in another Cosmic Chaos video. Bye!